and reports back that Kovu doesn't seem to be on board with the whole Kill Simba mission anymore. The next day, Kovu plans on telling Kiara about the plot and how he wants nothing more to do with it. But before he has a chance, Simba takes him out for a walk. He tells him the true story of Scar, known by the people in the Pride Lands, that his hate and greed swept the land like a fire and inevitably destroyed him. But he also tells him that just like a real fire, sometimes what's left behind can grow better than the generation before. This is the first bit of acceptance Kovu has felt since he got here, but just as everything is hunky-dory, Zira shows up with her whole pride to ambush Simba. She credits Kovu with this action, which makes Simba reboot back to suspicion and prejudice. Zira and her pride then attack Simba, all with no support from Kovu. He really wants nothing more to do with her. As Simba gets away, obnoxious, annoying, someone please shoot him in the face Andy Dick clone tries to take him down himself, with no other motivation than to make his mother proud and to prove that he has what it takes to be the lion everyone assumed Kovu was. But in the process of trying to take him down, he goes and gets himself killed. We then realize the tragedy of it. Zira did love Nuka, which is the character's real name, but she never realized how much he needed her approval until this moment. He wanted so badly to make his mother proud that even in death, his mother's acceptance makes him happy. This is by far the most effective point in the whole film. And by the way, I never actually thought Nuka was a bad character. I don't know. Andy Dick just annoys the shit. After his death, Zira tries to blame this incident on Kovu. And here we have the exact same situation as in the first Lion King. Someone is blamed for a death that is clearly not their fault. So let's see if Kovu is any smarter than Simba.
God. I did nothing.
Exactly. Thank you for having a brain. Still, the fault of his brother's death is laid on his shoulders, and as much as Nuka wants to separate from the legacy of Scar, recent events seem to be following down that path. You know, this is actually a lot more engaging than I remembered. Kovu runs back to Pride Rock while Zira rallies all the lions together for a final showdown. Meanwhile, in the Pride Lands, Simba shows up, injured, and passes out.
All right, buddy. We're here for you.
That's actually the closest thing to a selfless act we've ever seen from Timon. But you just know that deep down his real reaction was, dibs on his iPod! So Kovu comes back to the Pride Lands and tries to reason with Simba. At this point, however, the damage has been done. Simba's nightmares now seem to be coming true, and reverting back to his long-standing prejudices are simply easier than understanding and forgiveness at this point. He therefore sentences Kovu to exile. We don't get fooled again. Kiara tries to convince Simba that it was all a misunderstanding. She knows Kovu, and she knows that he wouldn't try to do something like this. But Simba will hear none of it, and he decrees that Kiara won't go anywhere unescorted from now on. Kiara eventually escapes and finds Kovu. He suggests that they run away together and start a pride, but Kiara insists that their union might be what is needed to reunite both the prides, that without them they will stand divided forever. Zira and her pride then move against Simba and his until finally the fight is between Zira and Simba. Interesting considering both these characters have their reasons, both good and bad, for fighting. No one is clearly in the wrong here, which makes this conflict a bit more complicated than we're used to in traditional Disney films. They're just about to rip each other apart when Kovu and Kiara intervene. Kiara tells her father what she was told by him when she was a cub, that we are all one, that them versus us is a false statement since they are us. And at the height of this conflict, through his daughter's wisdom given to her by him, Simba listens, and he agrees to cease hostilities and allow the lions back into the pride. Now, it may seem a little rushed that all the lions would automatically agree to this, but these lions followed Scar. They're obviously going to swallow anything. Zira, however, is not so convinced, and as she lunges at Simba, Kiara jumps in the way, and the two end up over a cliff. Kiara tries to save her, but Zira is too far gone. She would rather die than let go of her hate, and just as with Scar, it consumes her to the end. Finally, the Pride is reunited, and all live happily ever after. When I first watched this movie again, I was about ready to say that at the very least, it was okay. After really thinking about it and reviewing it, however, I'd go ahead and put this in the category of pretty good. It has its problems, to be sure, but the story and the characters are actually more engaging than some of the recent Disney feature films. As a direct-to-video sequel, it was far better than it even needed to be, and it's clear to me that the people who wrote this gave it a lot of thought and effort. If you like The Lion King, and I think most people do, then it is a very acceptable sequel. But even if you don't like or have never seen The Lion King, it still holds up pretty well on its own. Good job, guys. Very good job. The end.
Motherfucker's wearing a fucking giant's head. Just like Charlie fucking Sheen.